Hey guys, I'm Saf.
My name is Deacon.
My name is Alina.
My name is Gloria.
And I'm Julia.
And I am Samuel.
I'm Kian.
I'm Ping.
And
We are the 99.
99.
99.
The
99.
99.
99.
99.
99.
The 99.
99. 99.
99.
99.
Hi everyone, my name is Gloria.
I'm Ping.
And I'm Julia.
I'm Jasmine, here as a special guest today.
And we are the 99.
And just a reminder about this podcast is that we are here to make our viewers comfortable and to discuss topics that we feel will reach to the Hmong Christian community and to ensure and to encourage you to continue your faith.
Okay, guys. So today's podcast episode is kind of special. As you guys can tell, it's an all-girl cast. I know the previous episode before was about the boys, and today we're going to be talking about the girls. So we're talking about how we should dress for church, specifically like for the girls. And one of the biggest challenge I feel like as a girl is daily is trying to find outfits or trying to find clothes that are, modest, right? Especially in this time. And nowadays, nowadays, like trying to find modest but something like stylish, it's also really hard, and it requires like girls to be creative about like how to dress up, like what to pair things with. And at the stores, a lot of times it is very limited because fashion trends and stuff changes. But the first question I have for her is, how has social media affected how girls dress today? And another follow-up to that is, how does it affect the girls or us girls emotionally and spiritually? Like talking specifically about social media, because a lot of times we find fashion through social media or we get inspiration from things that we see online. So how has that changed or mold us as girls, specifically for as well in the church?
I think obviously for girls, Instagram, TikTok, it's really big for the Gen Z, and I feel like the younger Julia and growing up, I feel like looking at girls wearing outfits or finding outfit and fashionable outfit, I realized that it really made me idolize myself. Because then it's like, oh, I have to look a certain way, I have to dress a certain way, and I have to be confident. And a lot of time that can really affect your spiritual and your relationship with God, because then at the end of the day, it's not about God anymore, it's about you. How do people look at me? You start idolizing yourself, you start spending monies, you start dropping money just so you can look good, and it did definitely did took a toll on me. Now not so much anymore, because I grew past that. I realized that none of these last forever, and it's like the more you buy, the more you want. It's never a satisfying thing.
I would like to add that it affected me, just seeing fashion trends on social media, right? Like, oh, is this the way I'm supposed to dress, right? And I think there was one point in time where I didn't feel like I was pretty if I didn't show skin.
Yeah.
And
That's a real one.
yeah, because I was like, why, because you're scrolling on your phone and you see all these girls
bikinis that
nice bodies and all that stuff.
No belly rolls.
No belly rolls, stuff like that. So I always felt like I had to I didn't feel like I had to. It was I don't know, when you just grow in general, or
it's like you subconsciously you think about it, and it just kind of
it just starts
not affects, but it just I forget the word, you just subconsciously
unintentionally start thinking it'll look like that, you know, start applying that to your life, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and it made me think about like the outfits that were cute, right? And the outfits that I thought were cute like showed a lot, right? So I was just thinking to myself like, when did like I think when I started deepening my relationship with the Lord, I started realizing like, dude, like what am I wearing? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was more of like a, how do I say this? It was just like, yeah, no, I think how it affected me was that I didn't feel pretty if I showed skin. And also like, dude, you know, like it affected your body, right? The way you view your body. And yeah, I'm a pretty chunky girl, right? But like in general, hold up, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm a pretty chunky girl, so like finding outfits that would like look cute on me, you know what I mean? It was hard, you know, especially like when you're scrolling through social media and you see that like the girls are showing skin, and you try out that outfit. Oh,
not it.
You're just like, not for me. Yeah, so definitely that was like one of the things that it affected me. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for me, a part of me just wanted to feel like like not left out. A part of, you know, like that kind of like trend. Or I feel like back then, when I was younger, I used to be skinnier, right? And I would dress more prettier and more cuter, and I would receive more compliments, right? And I feel like because of that, right, it kind of stuck on to me, like, as I grew older. And then also I did gain weight, and I feel like it really changed how I thought, right? Because I think my heart was not set in the right place when I was younger, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, that term gloat, like over gloat, where they over compliment you, they overhype you, you know, and then eventually it gets to your head. And I just, you know, it's sad, or like a little embarrassing to admit, but it's good to know that you weren't in the right place, right? Where you know, you eventually started to, you know, self-idolize, like what Julia said. Yeah. And I feel like eventually, you know, I would post a lot on social media too. So I feel like social media definitely did affect the way how I dressed for church, you know. And I put in the effort for the wrong reasons, like maybe trying to impress a boy or something. Ugh, sorry. But that's not me anymore. But like, you know, just saying like back then. But
because I think social media does play a big part, because I feel like social media, everyone's on it. Like you have today time, we have what you guys would call influencers, right? Yes. Promoting a type of style, promoting like products, or like, you know, different things. And it just, you just can't help it. And then, you know, I think it does affect us like spiritually and like emotionally, because it's like, oh, if I don't look like that, like how you guys were saying, like, then I'm not a part of the trend. I'm not like, you know, I'm not in it, you know.
I will also like to add in really quick. I feel like this generation, or our generation, you know, it's all about catching the opposite sex attention, you know, because then, you know, everybody like around us, you know, even if you look on social media, it's always like the good looking girl that have the boyfriend, or, you know, the marriage life, you know, and obviously eventually I do want to get married and, you know, have kids and start my own family, you know. And it's like, how should I say it? It's like when you're looking at social media, it really does affect your relationship with God, because then you start seeking attention from men instead from God, you know, because then the outfits, the style that you want to dress up, the effort that you put in, it's no longer for God, it's for men now. And that shouldn't be our direction or our priority where we should, you know, look towards it. Instead, you know, we should dress modestly for God, and not to impress men.
It kind of goes into,
No, go.
So it kind of, what Julia said kind of goes into our, like, the next point that I wanted to make, where in the Hmong culture, right, as well as many other cultures, we have heard that Christian girls should dress like modestly for the sake of men or like boys, right? And as like it kind of makes us feel like we're responsible for
Finding the
for
one.
causing their
Or
them to fall into
yes,
sin,
yes.
right? So my question is, what are our thoughts about this, and should modesty be for others or for ourselves? And do you see it as what's the word, a cover up or like an oppression, like specifically being like females in a Christian like culture, I guess you could say, or like the church?
I would like to say that I think modesty protects you in a way because there are lustful men out there, there are lustful people out there, and if you're in the wrong like environment at the time, you can potentially catch a lustful man's attention, and you can either like it. You could be pretty, like, don't get me wrong, but like if you are wearing an outfit that is revealing, right, you are gonna attract a certain type of audience. And like even on social media, right, you see like girls with bikini, like when they post stuff like that, there's a lot of like lustful men under the comments following them and all that stuff, right? So I do think that modesty protects you. Obviously, like when it comes to things where like maybe like someone is like, I wouldn't necessarily, okay, if I'm going into it, right, like if someone was sexually assaulted and people blame it on their clothing, right, I don't necessarily think that that's correct, like if we're gonna go on that topic, right, because it's not the person, or how do I say this, obviously modesty protects you, but if a person were to if that were to occur to them, it was not that person, it was the person committing, because then they're acting on their own lust and they can't control their own desires, right, which it's not a desire that you should have at all. But definitely I feel like modesty protects you. Not only that, but like the question was like, do you do it for yourself or somebody else, right? I think it should be both, because as Christians we're called to live a certain a lifestyle apart from the world, right? So definitely like dressing modestly does not only protect you, but also, like if you have I know this might be like kind of weird to say, like if you have a brother in Christ who is struggling with lust, I don't know if
then maybe you shouldn't wear
revealing clothes just to like
cause them to tempt.
Tempt them, like or like that shouldn't be your intentions. I would say I'm not necessarily like blaming the girl, but like if right, just
and I feel like even if it's not your intention to cause the other party to fall, it's still your responsibility to reflect Christ in a modest way, because obviously whether, it doesn't matter, guys, depending on how their parent raised them, right or wrong, I know that, even there are girls who wear modest clothes and, cover up, obviously they still get sexual assault, so who is that to blame, And we can't control what the other party think, but we can control ourselves, And like Jazz said, I agree, dressing modest, it's yes, it's for ourselves, it's for God, but it's also for like the other party. It's like so when other people see us, they know that we are someone who reflects God, we are someone, who our parent raised to be, honorable and respectable women as well. And we also want to be treated with respect, and it's also so that we don't cause another brother to fall into temptation, because when you know what's right but you do what's wrong and you cause another person to fall, God hold you more accountable than the person who did cause the sin. So dressing modestly, it's very important. Yes, I get it, it's hot, especially in California, it can get over 110, but there are still cute outfit out there where you can wear like not tank top, but short sleeve, short tight sleeve, and you can wear like a cute skirt by midi skirt. You'll still look amazing, I think you just need to find your styles and find what match you.
So what I want to say is that I feel that I agree with Jasmine. Modesty is what protects us, right? Both us and the other person. And God finds us beautiful, right? That he considers us as his bride, and he wants us to be safe from those lustful sins. And I feel that many people feel that they have to show skin, right, to feel beautiful, but God doesn't think that way, right? You are already perfect, like he's like as gems, right? And like our body is like a temple, right? A holy temple that we should keep safe, right, or protect ourselves. And I was gonna say something else too, but I don't remember it. But I just want to say is that if you feel good, right, in the outfit that you're wearing, and it's a little bit maybe too showy, right, or not like as modest, I feel like that's a tough part, is that we have to separate our thinking from the worldly ways, right? Because I feel like I don't want to put down someone for like not like, if they feel good, I don't want to be like, oh, that outfit's a little bit too showy, right? Because I myself can get insecure at times, right? And I would like be sad too if someone were to put me down if I thought this outfit looked cute on me, right? But if my sister in Christ is looking out for me, right? Because if I'm gonna harm someone else, right, make them fall into sin, I would suffer a greater punishment from God, right? Because God says if we make one person fall, and we know it, then you can't really say that it's not your fault, right? But I had something else, but if I remember, I'll say it.
Because I think fashion itself is such a like, it's changing all the time, especially like in like, I know we were talking about this earlier about like this generation where like I feel like it's the norm, right, to show like wear like tube tops, wear like skinny spaghetti straps and stuff like that. And even like in churches, like even in our own churches, like we do hear like an older woman come and be like, like that girl, like sometimes they might come up to you if your skirt's a little too short, or you're showing a little too much shoulders, right? Someone will come and be like, oh, like minsan, no ka na. Yeah. And I think like I don't see it as like
an attack or
like an attack, but it's just kind of going on like the question, right? It's like I do agree with like all of you guys, where I think it is like, especially like as a girl, I feel like it is a way to like, I don't even want to say like protect us, but it's a way of like honoring like our God. Yes. Because I know that in the boys episode they did talk, they mentioned something about like what was it, like they were talking about how like when you dress it, it's like it just kind of
presentable,
and it kind of like shows respect to the God that we serve, right? And I think in the same way it's the same for like the girls, right? And sometimes like some girls out there might be like, well, it's not my fault that like how the saying where they're like eyes up here, right,
eyes down there.
But I think like it's crazy. I feel like it's crazy because I feel like as girls, like we know what we have, right? We know what God
the things we carry.
Yeah. Right? And it's like like we know, like guys, obviously we know guys too, like even if like they're your brothers in Christ.
Wait.
Right? Like it's like it'll be hard, right? So it's like as a female, right, we have to understand
it's in our nature, it's in our sinful nature. So I feel like honestly topics like these are very hard to talk about, right? Because
especially for girls, since we have
it's a little uncomfortable. But
if you know what we're talking about.
What are we talking about? I have no clue what we're talking about.
Like our assets,
like our
yeah.
Wait, obviously,
well,
okay.
Like, obviously, it's like saying like, oh, we know.
Obviously,
we know that.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, okay.
Obviously,
okay.
some some women's have more than others, which is totally fine. God just happened to bless you more than me. But, and you can't control what other people say. You cannot control eyes. But, the thing you can do is, as long as you know that you are, dressing appropriately and your intention is not for others but for God, then that's all that matters. Because God doesn't look at your appearance. He just look at your hearts, And if what you're wearing is totally fine but causing the other party to fall, then that's their problem, That's between them and God, and, God will deal with it, And the only thing you could do is do your part. And remember who you are serving and who you are honoring and who you are representing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, that was well said.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes into like our second point, right? Is I think a lot of us are in this podcast, right? Mm-hmm. We are leaders. And there are times where we would have to address certain youth, right? Where it's not, and most of the time it comes from like how I was saying earlier, it comes from like an older like person or like another church leader. They would come up and be like, hey, this girl, she's wearing that, can you like go and like let her know?
I feel like that it's so awkward when it does happen.
And how can we correct them without offending them? Right? And do you think we should, like, as a church, enforce like dress code and stuff like that?
I would say as a church, I think that you should enforce dress code. At least like, tell them the expectation of how we should dress to honor God. And I'm not even gonna lie here. I think I've struggled with modesty my whole entire life, right? Just because like obviously the trends and like who I really seek validation from. Crazy thing, okay. Who I saw, well, this is like just in my own personal journey, right? But who I sought validation from was actually girls, and I feel like because they've always complimented me about my outfits, right? But what I kind of realized, right, was that the reason why they were complimenting me and the reason why like they thought my outfits were cute, right, was because they thought it was cute, obviously, but also because in their own life they were seeking validation from men. So the way, if this makes sense, the way I was dressing was the way like when I would dress a certain way, they would compliment me more because that's like how they would like it as well. It's kind of complicated to explain, but like,
so just like you were their idol, or
no, I was not their idol. It was more like the more compliments I got on a certain outfit, right, from the girls, I would, and they were more revealing outfits though. Like if that makes sense. But the reason why they did, how do I say this? They like the way I dress is because they dress that way themselves.
Oh, okay.
But the reason why they dress was because they seek validation from men. If that makes sense. And then like,
I see what you're saying.
I don't know if this is making any sense right now, but I totally forgot my point in this, so I will slowly transition into you guys.
So just a reminder for everyone. So the question was, right, in the church, how can we correct like them without offending them, and should we enforce dress code? Yeah. And like basically what are some like consequences or like backlashes when enforcing like dress code on like girls? Because I feel like most of the times the girls get a lot more, I don't want to call it heat, maquille, or like lecture because of how they dress. So like with boys, it's just basic like trousers, a dress shirt, and then I don't really hear a lot of times where it's boys. Most of the time it's like
the girls,
like their hair and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But like compared to girls, like, oh, their skirt's too short or their straps are too like thin, just, like like, so like how can we address them without
hurting their feelings?
And if we do enforce dress codes, like what are some like backlashes or consequences that we would face?
Well, first of all, nobody will ever send me out to correct anyone. I'm just kidding. um, but if I'm close to you, okay, if me and you are on a good term, and if I'm close to you, I think I would just go straight up and tell you, hey, the niche, they say this, they're concerned that this is too short, I don't see a problem with it, but they do, so maybe next
And what if like the girl's like, who cares? Like,
who cares?
They're like OGs. Who cares?
I'll be like, sister.
Sister.
If the OG are saying something out of concern, maybe it's God's signs for you too. But I'm just maybe, but honestly, like for real, like an example would be, I have told Jazz before, I don't think she remembered, because Jazz is really blessed.
Okay, hold up. We just
but I was like, this is.
But you have.
But I have addressed Jazz, and I don't think
Yeah.
she was offended. I was like, and I had told her, I was like, oh, Jazz, I don't care, and I don't mind, but if I was a guy, obviously I would look,
Oh my
And-
gosh. I'm
and from like the niche or the DJ point of view, they would like you to cover up a little more, just so just for your image and for God image. I get it. I would be offended sometime too, because then Ekin, I have my brother, he's like, that's too short. I was like, so what? But then I'm reminded that, so what? It is for God that I am representing. It is my family that I'm also representing. It is me who I'm representing. If I dress a certain ways, guys are gonna think it's an opportunity, and that is not what I wanted. And if I dress a certain way, do that reflect Christ? So yes.
Yeah. Well, because most of us are leaders here, for me, I believe before I say anything, I should set by example.
Yes.
Right. If I tell them to dress more modestly, then I have to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I haven't really gotten any like comments about
Like backlash. or
yeah
anything.
like often, but I do have. I mean, I've had times where people are like, oh yeah, you're dressed a little bit too short, or it's like my chest is too revealing, and honestly I take no offense, because sometimes I'm a little bit, is oblivious the right word?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, I'm like,
Me too.
yeah, I'm just kind of like, like, I'm sorry, not gonna lie, I take a while to get ready, and then I have like literally 5 minutes to find an outfit before I have to go, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'll just choose this one, and then I just go. But I feel like for me, most times I have to be reminded that this is a place for all of us to know God, right? To worship and to love Him, right? And if someone who's a little bit new, right, and they see that I'm dressing, a little bit too revealing, right, I feel like it will definitely make them stray, right? And I feel like as sisters in Christ, right, if I want that person to know that we should be reminded, right, that we need to respect God, right, through our clothing, I will let them know, right? But not in a super like, oh my gosh, your dress is so revealing, like hide, right? I'd be like, oh, like maybe
Sister.
like let's wear shorts or a longer dress. Like honestly, I feel like I've never had to tell anyone. I'm sorry, because not gonna lie, I don't really notice. But I would feel like, I don't know, I guess I would feel a little bit like scared, because I'm like, how do I approach them?
It is
right?
kind of like a touchy
Yeah, because if
topic.
I'm not close to them, right,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, how do I approach this? So for me, I just usually set by example, right? And sometimes my mom, she really reminds me a lot. She's like, a lot of people know you, right, because you do hold a position, right? You are on that stage performing a lot, so people know you, and if they see you dress like that, then what are you gonna expect? Like they probably might dress like that, and if you confront them, they're gonna be like, well, you dressed like that last week. So yeah, that's why I just set by example, to be honest.
I definitely agree with you. And also, like, my mindset back then was that this is natural, right? This is my body. This is what I have, and it shouldn't be a problem to others, right? But also, like, just growing up in general, I think it's also about like respect, and also like honoring the God that we do serve. Because then, like, when you have a, and like, you know, like, not confronting people, but telling a sister in Christ that like maybe it's too revealing, right? It is a hard thing to do, just because like it depends on how close you are to them, and also where their spirituality is at with God.
That's
I
very
think
important.
that is very important. And like back then, right, my mindset was like, if anybody has a problem with this, like whatever, right? Because this is not their body, right? And it's natural to have these assets that we were talking about. But like, also, I don't think it's wrong that like this is natural, right? But also the things that you do have, just make sure that you do, you know, honor it. Hold on.
I get you.
Honor God by
I
things that
understand.
you wear, right? And I agree with Glow about that. If you're gonna tell them, you should be doing it yourself. Because I definitely had people come up to me and talk to me about the way I was dressing, right? But I didn't understand the importance of it, nor did I understand like the kind of
The
when
intention behind it.
the intention behind it. Because I wore clothes like that because I thought it was cute. You know what I mean?
They were cute, but they
Thank
weren't.
you.
But at that time, but it's the
But
place
it's-
and the time.
Yeah,
The place and the time.
I was wearing anything to church at that point, cause not anything, but yeah.
'Cause I think especially being a leader and like approaching like that kind of like dress code, right? Or it's like, I agree with all of you guys where it's kind of like hard, because it's like you don't want to come off as like
Like you're jealous,
judgy or
you're
like
judgy.
or like
Yes.
like, and I mentioned this before. I feel like for me, you know, like I don't like being in that position of like, oh, I have to correct one, right? But when you're in the position that you are in, like, you know, we are called to like, you know,
be the light.
yeah, be the light. And like, I think we are, I don't know about like other like churches, but I feel like in Hmong churches, like there is that expectation of like, oh, like girls, you guys gotta like cover up. You gotta, not saying like, you know, like fully, but like, you know, like your skirt don't let it be too short. Your sleeves and stuff, don't let it be like too revealing, you know. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being modest. And I feel like especially with like girls like in today's like time or generation, which like I know we were talking about this earlier, where I feel like revealing clothes or like clothes that are trendy right now, like where was going this, where I feel like compared to like for me, right, I feel like I dress a lot more like modest, like at church or even like in like my private life too, where because I don't feel like the need to like show, but I also feel like sometimes like if you do not, how do I say it? I feel like some people feel like if they dress modest, like the world's gonna be like, oh, like you're wearing that, like that's kind of ugly, or that's like grandma, like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like for me now, I'm like, you know what? If you call me a grandma, that's fine. Like I rather be comfortable, you know. So I feel like that is one thing where it's like the trends today, like versus like modesty, because I don't think modesty is trendy, right?
It is now. It is
Well, I see
old
it a
money.
little.
Old money. Old money style.
Yeah, so I feel like that's one thing too. But I agree with like how all of you guys said, like you have to set the example, like Jayla said too. Being the light, like we are called to be the light, and especially like us as like leaders too, like we have to do first before we could like tell other like people like what to do, you know. So it is like a struggle, but at the same time, like it's kind of what we chose to do, right? Where we are leaders. We are, we are put in this position for a reason. We believe in God for a reason, right? And if we love God, then, the way we dress, the way we speak, everything about us should like represent who God is, and just kind of to close it out, right, is we do live in a world right now where a lot of times we are focused on like superficial like appearances, and we focus on a lot of like trendy things, but we have to remember that our outward our outward reflection should be a reflection of our inner selves, right? And modesty is not just about clothes, but it is a part of like the Christian life, right? It's basically like a mindset too. And a believer should be modest in the way they dress and the way they talk, and have, a modest attitude, like how I was saying earlier, because that is, we are Christian, right? A follower of Christ. And if that's what we represent, if we're being light for that, then like how we were all saying, the way we dress, should be a way to illuminate that. So I hope that everyone enjoyed today's episode, and I hope that you guys, took something away. This was like a very fun topic to talk about too as well. And look forward to our next episodes that are coming out. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram, and we also have a Facebook page. Just everything under the 99 underscore. Well, the underscore 99 podcast. So find us on all our socials. And
it's the 99 underscore podcast. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all
Don't worry about it. Don't worry
about it.
But have a good day. Bye.
Bye.